Welcome to the Andrew Finney Show, where we help you make sense of real estate. So a couple of key ground rules here is that if you want to hit me up during this live session, you can do so with the chat function. So go ahead and do that. We'll answer those questions, and we'll go ahead and lead in with the questions that came in and the wonderful comments over the past week. Now, I do want to share some really exciting news with you. I transferred brokerages over the last few days, and I'm now part of King Realty Group. So I left Berkshire Hathaway in favor of a far more innovative and tech-forward brokerage to continue delivering high-level services to the families that I represent here locally. So I just want to give you the heads up that I am now part of King Realty. So when you see it in the lower left side of your screen and you're wondering what that new logo is, it's all about doing the right thing for compliance with King Realty and making sure that everybody knows which brokerage I'm with now. Okay, so let's go ahead and lead in. Last week's on Making Sense of Real Estate with Andrew Finney video, Janine Hoke had asked a wonderful question. She says, "Hi Andrew, great content. Question for you. One, the buyer had a sewer scope inspection done and the tree had a root blockage. Had a sewer scope done and the tree caused a root blockage. Multiple gaps and cracks and corrosion were found. 2, it was revealed to the seller. 3, the seller chooses not to fix it and offers a $1,500 credit. 4, the buyer chose not to buy. So the question is, does the seller have to disclose the knowledge of the sewer problems to a future buyer? State of Maryland is where her transaction is." So I can speak from experience here in Las Vegas when we're having these kind of issues, Janine, and across the nation in many cases as well. What you're generally looking at is you're looking at having that being a material defect to a property that needs to be disclosed, since it is with the plumbing and sewer to the property. So yes, absolutely, it should be disclosed as a material defect to the property, to the incoming buyer going forward within the seller's real property disclosure. Now, you may want to check with a trusted real estate advisor in Maryland just to confirm that's the case, and what documentation, if there's any other documentation that might need to be completed there, okay? So the Crypto Bling commented on the same episode last week with the Making Sense of Real Estate with Andrew Finney episode. He says, "Good stuff as usual. Once again, really enjoy your content. Crypto Bling, really appreciate your support and really appreciate you chiming in there." Okay, HD Hood Jr. was talking about 10 ways to deal with your HOA. He says, "Do you have to sign papers to join the HOA? And if you don't or haven't, what is their HOA recourse? And does the HOA rules still apply to your property?" So HD Hood Jr., that's a really great question. In a lot of cases, what happens is when you get ready to purchase a home in a homeowners association, it has to be disclosed to you, and you're going to receive what's called a resale package. Within the resale package are the CC&Rs for that community. So whether or not that you technically agree to them or not, by virtue of purchasing that property, you would be bound to those rules within the HOA community. I'd be a little bit concerned, or actually a lot concerned, if your real estate agent did not share with you the HOA resale package or the information about that property being in an HOA community. That's something that you'd want to discuss with them. But if you've already bought that property, yes, even if you haven't signed off on it, you are still bound by the rules of that association. So it's something that you might want to talk over with your trusted real estate advisor if that's your case, okay? The Crypto Bling comments on 11 reasons why your home is not selling. And he said, "I have been in so many different homes that smelled bad." That's a basic thing that people forget. By the way, congrats on the change. I see from the description you have switched brokerages. So just like we were talking about on the earlier part of this video, Crypto Bling picked up on that once that change was done last Thursday. And I started putting it into the show more description below and also the broker logo on the bottom left side of the videos. Okay, so then we have BCH commenting on last week's Making Sense of Real Estate with Andrew Finney episode. BCH says, "Andrew, these videos are great. Thank you for your service. A couple of questions I've not been able to get answered. 1, I have excellent credit, over 800 and solid stable income. Is it possible to get a better rate than the lender's lowest advertised rates? And 2, I am looking at homes in 3 completely different markets, 3 different states even. I live 3 hours from the nearest one. How do I talk to agents without wasting their time, and how can I find local lenders that have good experience with VA loans? Thanks so much." So BCH, that's actually a really good question. So number 1, congratulations on having excellent credit, over 800 and a solid stable income. Very happy for you, and it's always good to hear that. So if you're wondering if you can get possible than a lender's lowest advertised rates, not generally, but that is something that you could discuss with a local loan officer that you choose to meet up with and ask them how that's working. Rates right now are definitely on the uptick up. There's a lot of been changes that have happened over the last few days where now the lenders, the bonds are taking a hit. They're now at 3.1%. So then you go higher and they base it, the mortgage interest rates are get based off the bond market and the stock market. So now you're seeing very common rates now over 5.35% or so. So you need to talk to your local loan officer about the rates and see how that's going to apply to you given your situation. Obviously, at an 800 credit score, you will be getting the best of the loan rates in terms available in the market when you choose to buy your home. That's number one. Number two, when you're talking about looking at homes in 3 completely different markets, 3 different states, and that you live 3 hours from the nearest, and how not to waste an agent's time. Look, just shoot straight with them, BCH. I have people that contact me sometimes. They're in between trying to figure out whether they want to move to Nevada, Arizona, or California. And I always just share with them. I say, hey, what's most important to you? What are you looking for? Let's get you set up on a home search that's tailored to your options. Ask me any information or ask me any questions that you may have about the communities or the areas that you're interested in Las Vegas, and I'll give that to you so you can make a well-informed decision. Now, that doesn't mean that I'm going to necessarily jump in my car and go show them property if number one, if they don't have a loan pre-approval letter, that's not going to happen. And number two, we need to really winnow it in and figure out what they want to do. Now, there's other options that you would have available if you're going to actually go to some of those communities. Then working with a trusted real estate advisor in each marketplace, they can send you a list of open houses at the time that you're going to be there. You can kind of drive through your favorite areas, take a tour through some open houses, and see what's going to be best for you and if that's what you like. If that's the case, then maybe that'll help you make your decision in between the 3 states and the 3 marketplaces that you're referring to. Then your next question was, how do you find local lenders that have a good experience with VA loans? Both of the lenders that I work with here in Las Vegas, Nevada, Josh Kumar over at Cardinal Financial and Bill Marin at New American, they do have, their companies are really big and they do expand across the United States. If you need help finding a VA lender in your area, just let me know. I can put you in touch with them, and then maybe they can help you find a really good local loan officer over there that's familiar with VA loans. Other than that, I would suggest talking to your trusted real estate advisor, and number one, making sure that they're military friendly themselves and are familiar with the VA home loan process. After you do that, then ask them who they would recommend as a good, strong lender for that marketplace with VA home loans, and they can introduce you into a great local loan officer to work with from there. Now, I hope that helps you out, and I hope it answers your questions, BCH. Certainly appreciate the wonderful questions and for you watching last week's episode. The Crypto Bling comments on 8 things every real estate property investor should know. He says, once again, great work, to the point, and very effective tips for newbie investors. Thank you, Crypto Bling. Really appreciate it. Andy Cao, thank you for being here today. I see the comment. Hey, Andrew, hope all is well on your end. Absolutely it is. Pretty excited about the brokerage change and everything that I can do to further help people now. You have a question regarding locking in rates. When I lock in rates with a mortgage lender, does that mean I am contractually obligated to go forward with them? Not necessarily. When you lock in the rate, obviously, let me back up a little bit, Andy. What you would want to do before you got into a place of locking in rates, especially if you're in a contract, you'd want to be very, very solid with working with that lender and have your mind made up about working with that lender moving forward, because generally you're going to be looking at rate locking after an appraisal. Now, if you're talking about some of the things I've discussed in previous episodes where you might be rate locking 1 to 6 months in advance, then no, you're not going to be obligated to that lender at all. I only suggest that once you go into the closing process, once your offer is accepted, that you have 110% locked into that loan officer. A change during the closing process can throw your closing dates, and if you throw the closing dates, the seller does not have to agree to extend to meet any kind of conditions that you may have if you needed like maybe 10 days or 5 days longer than what was contractually agreed to in your offer. They don't have to agree to it, and you could potentially lose your earnest money deposit if that was the case. So we want to make sure that you're safe, and we want to make sure that you're locked in with that loan officer at that time when you enter the closing process. So in short, it just depends whenever you're looking at rate locking and what your intentions are behind it. So yes, you can change, but once you get to the closing process, my strongest advice to you, Andy, is to make sure that you're dialed in 110% with that loan officer moving forward to closing, okay? Andy, I should have prefaced it. This was under the circumstance of a new construction. I want to shop, but still have the leverage of locking in good rates. Okay, yeah, that would have been helpful, right? So, hey, Andy, really appreciate that update. That is a good preface. So if that's the case and you're shopping for new construction, yeah, do your thing. You're not locked in with them. No, not at all. And you might just want to go ahead and clear the air with that loan officer and just make sure that you know that you're not locked in, and maybe get them and send you an email back, send them an email, say, hey, I just want to make sure that we're not locked into anything here by locking the rate, and make sure that that's the case with that loan officer, and just have it backing up with an email so it's in written form for you. But definitely, if you're going to be a few months away from completing your home loan, or excuse me, your new construction, then generally that's not going to be the case. So you'll be safe. Just confirm it with the loan officer, okay? Robot HandLove was watching, is the housing market cooling off? 7 signs to watch. I think the Irish housing market is cooling off, but no Irish media will say that since they all make money from advertisement related to housing. So Robot HandLove, thank you so much for chiming in on that video and giving us some insights into the Irish housing market. Really appreciate that insight, and it's always good to know that and remember that we have an international audience here on the Andrew Finney Team channel. So really appreciate that. Love all the wonderful comments coming in across the United States and from around the world. Andy, you're welcome, buddy. Thank you so much for being here. Really appreciate you. Joe Santiago was watching, what is a home appraisal? 7 facts to know. He says, thank you, great video. Thank you, Joel, for watching, and thank you for your comment. Kathryn Willette watched the same video, what is a home appraisal and 7 facts to know, and Kathryn says, this video was very useful to me. I am a subscriber and listing my home by owner and buying a home by owner. Thank you. Would you suggest I get an agent even though I have family members who can close deals? So Kathryn, there's a lot going on in that comment. Number 1, thank you for being a subscriber. Number 2, thank you for commenting on that video. So let's go ahead and get into whether you should have your own agent. I normally always recommend that you have your own agent. If you have family members who can close deals, then the curiosity that I have is, are they attorneys? You know, what is their situation and how familiar are they with real estate? If they're attorneys, then maybe that's going to work well for you. If they're not attorneys and they're not real estate agents, then I would definitely recommend having your own trusted real estate advisor guide you through the process. So many things change through the real estate life cycle in a given year. And in addition to market conditions, in addition to contracts and stuff, like here in Las Vegas, Nevada, my broker just sent me, my new broker Ryan King over at King Realty just sent me an update yesterday and sent out the brokerage an update about like 10 changes that are getting ready to happen to our contracts that are pretty significant changes as far as verbiage is concerned and some of the disclosures that we have to provide. So working with a trusted real estate advisor, and especially if you watch the picking in a real estate agent video and how to find the right one for you and following along that advice, then you would know that you're in good hands with somebody that knows the tempo and that's keeping up on all the changes. It's very helpful to know, and it's just very helpful to have your own if that's at all possible for you. Lee Dot was watching 10 types of insurance for landlords and property investors. He says, Marine here, simplify, brother. I'm making my steps with real estate investing. Always watch your videos. Getting close to purchasing my first property. Do I recommend any certain insurance company? Simplify. So again, Lee, simplify to you as well, my friend and my brother. Hey, so here's the deal. With insurance, it's your goal. You know, that video is just about 10 different types that you want to discuss. I personally use Geico. They've always done a good thing by me. So I personally use Geico for a lot of my insurance needs and umbrella policies and stuff like that, you know, without getting into like the boring details of insurance too much. Now, that being said, you really got to go with the insurance agent or the insurance company that you feel the most comfortable with, that's going to give you the best coverages and that you completely understand what policies you're purchasing. I would definitely suggest that you probably start with whoever you have your homeowner's insurance or car insurance through and see what they offer for that kind of insurance for investing in the real estate, and maybe call another one or two and just check it out and compare some notes as far as your coverage options are concerned. Lee Dot, thank you so much for watching, and thank you so much for the wonderful question. J Huntoon was watching 10 ways to know you found the right house. And Jay says, like this video very much. Well, Jay, like you very much, and thank you for watching that video. Glad you enjoyed it. Sumo Chop 360 watch new homeowner tips, 8 things you can do first. He says, I just bought my first home and the closing is in a couple weeks. Congratulations. That's super exciting Sumo Chop. So very happy for you. Never thought about buying new locks, and I appreciate the tip. I'm going online now and buying new locks to have them ready on my closing day. Again, thank you for the tips. All were very useful. Sumo Chop, I'm glad that you watched that video and took so much out of it. And I'm glad to hear that you're going to be changing out your locks. It's one of those critically important things to do. And it's one of those things a lot of us would forget or not even think about in the hustle of getting ready to move into our new place. So I'm glad that you went ahead and made that happen. And then we have and bear with me, this name is going to really get me here. So it's Abakwarmah was commenting on 9 questions to ask your mortgage lender, and he or she says, can you please recommend an agent in New Jersey, Middlesex County? So here's the thing. Whenever you're asking me for referrals to top agents, this is what I need you to do. I need you to go into the show more description below, and I need you to send me a direct email and tell me about what you're looking for in your new home, or at a minimum, give me your phone number and the best time to reach you. When you give me that information, then I'm going to turn around and I'm going to send you a questionnaire asking you more information about what you're looking for in your home, some things that you may not have considered, and then I can reach out to my top agent network and with a clear understanding of what you're looking for, and make sure that that agent works in that location and helps find homes that you're going to be looking for. It's the best way to get you a solid referral. I had a nice lady from Chicago, Illinois call me yesterday. She actually called me. We had a great conversation, and we've already put her in touch with the top agent in the Chicagoland area that she's going to be happy to work with. So when you're asking me for top agent recommendations, absolutely happy to help. Just need you to follow a little bit of a process, and I'll probably end up making some contact forms for that process and then start putting it into the show more description so we can go ahead and make that happen for you a lot more quickly. But all the same, thank you so much for reaching out, and thank you so much for the comment. Please contact me directly. Stina Mangas, hey Andrew, I just found out yesterday my offer was accepted. Yay! Congratulations, Stina. Super excited for you. What should I expect between now and closing? Also with that, what can I do to make sure that the process goes smoothly? So Stina, you know what? There's a lot of great things that happen in the closing process, and it is a lot of stuff going on. I would suggest you watch about how the closing process works when buying a house. I've made a couple of those videos about the closing process when buying and also for selling that matter. Go back and watch those videos because I outline the process extremely clear of what to expect. Now, one of the things, and I love your input on it, by the way, that's something that I'm thinking about, and if you want to chime in and tell me how you think this would benefit you, was to make different playlists on the channel about each process there is from like getting financed, credit scores, the closing process when you buy a home, home searching, things to look for in an agent, and start breaking them down into hyper niche playlists and put them in such an order that will make a lot of sense to you as you're moving through the process. If that's something that you think would help, then let me know in the comment section, or just hit me up on this chat if you're watching live right now or you watch it after the fact. Just let me know. I do these things. I use my videos a lot here in Las Vegas for the families I represent, and I always put these things in the chronological order to better assist them. And I'm thinking, hey, it's probably the right thing to do for you. You guys might really love that, so let me know. But essentially what you're going to be looking at, Stina, right out of the gate is you're going to be making your earnest money deposit, and please contact the title officer, escrow officer that sends you your wiring instructions. Call them and ask them to verify the account and routing information. Once you have peace of mind that the numbers are accurate, then go ahead and proceed with making your earnest money deposit. The next thing that's going to happen is obviously your escrow is being opened. So what your trusted real estate advisor should be doing is recommending some different home inspectors to you. If you don't have one in mind, you make a decision on who to call out and go ahead and make that happen. Your lender's going to be getting up with you to go over your loan estimate and start dialing that in and order your home appraisal. Once that's done, you get the home inspection back from the home inspector. Then what's going to happen is that you're going to have the opportunity to request repairs if they're needed. Keep in mind that cosmetic concerns are really not one of the things that sellers are going to address. Just being real with you, so make sure that you keep focused on what's really there that you need to consider. And then after that's done, then you get the appraisal. If everything's good with the appraisal, then you move forward into the closing process with the title company reaching out to you, verifying some great information, and also the loan officer and the underwriter getting with you with what they call a conditions list. Conditions lists are very simple. It normally just requires a quick response as possible from you, and they'll just be asking generalized questions in most cases. So you want to get that to them. Now that's where the hangup can sometimes happen in the closing process, depending on how fast your lender and your trusted real estate advisor work. Another one of our great members here and subscribers of this channel and I met up over the weekend, matter of fact, and he's moving here from one of the colder states. Let's put it that way, one of the colder states. And we just opened up escrow on his house on Monday. Look, come Friday, because that was a home inspector's availability, we'll go ahead and have his due diligence complete, and we'll be done on Saturday, and we just opened escrow on a Monday. So you're talking about 5-6 days is done, and everything. We've already got the sales real property disclosure, we already got the resale package, we've already got all that. I've reviewed all that information, sent it over to him. So well ahead of the game as far as buyer due diligence is concerned. We'll have it completely knocked out by Saturday. So, you know, the next thing up for him would be the appraisal. So there's so much going on into it, Stina. That's why I can give you an overview of what's going to happen, but it can get a little bit confusing because I'm giving it to you so quick. So you said, yes, definitely. Thank you so much. I'll check that video out. Side note, I would never have thought about a homeowner journal as such a great idea. Stina, thank you so much. Yes, a homeowner journal is freaking amazing to get in the habit of, and it's something I ask every single seller and every single offer that I write for my clients here in Vegas. Some people have them. You know, I keep one on my house. Obviously, I've made a video about it, so of course I got one. but it's something that you're going to love having, and it's going to make things a lot easier for you in your home ownership. And yes, I will make sure that I add to my schedule to go ahead and start going through these different playlists. Okay, it looks like we had several different comments come in while I was answering that. So the Crypto Bling, hi Andrew, is it true that some of the property management companies don't work for your interest as a landlord? Well, that's a really good question, Crypto Bling. So first of all, if the property management company wasn't working for your interest as a landlord, then you should fire them. So is it true? Well, look, here's the deal. There's about 1.2 to 1.3 million real estate agents across the United States right now. Of course, with that volume of people, like any other industry, there's going to be good apples and bad apples, whether they're agents or whether they're property managers or whatever, right, that are carrying a real estate license. So you need to make sure that you find the right one for you. If you don't feel like a property manager is representing your best interest as a landlord, you're the one that's paying them and you're the one that can fire them. It's just something to be real about and something to consider. Make sure that you're comfortable and confident with whatever property manager you may choose. Okay, so Crypto Bling, some of the realtors have said that the companies inflate repairs and tell tenants to complain more about the home. I have never heard of that happening before. That would be absolutely awful and something that should be reported to your real estate division. Just being real, that's not cool, especially if it can be proven. That's definitely something that should be looked at a lot closer. The Crypto Bling, I am skeptical of these companies. If a property you own is a little further away and you need a property management company, I'm a little concerned. Completely understand your concerns. So my advice, again, Crypto Bling, is going to be reaching out to them, having a conversation with them. Look at their, same way that you find a real estate agent, Google them, Google their online rep, say what their credibility looks like, check out their reviews, check out ratings, what people are saying, and actually talk to them. And if you get that warm fuzzy in your stomach and you get that warm fuzzy in your body, then probably it's a good fit. At the same time, if you get that feeling like you're hesitant, like it doesn't make you feel right, then it's normally not right. If it don't feel right, it's normally not right. So make up your mind and make up your decision based upon the facts and the conversation that you have with that property manager to make sure that they're right for you. J Cao, with all the fraud schemes out there today, is it any better or safer to get a cashier's check, bank check for deposit, or is it easier to wire the transfer? Just bought our first home and we close in 3 weeks. Hey, J Cao, you know what? Number one, congratulations. I'm super excited. There's been a lot of comments going on right now from what came in over the last week and today alone in the live chat session about people getting ready to close on a new home. Super, super stoked for you. Super, super pumped for you. You're going to love being a homeowner, so I'm super pumped for you. So when it comes down to your question, with all the real estate schemes, look, there's real estate schemes, there's mortgage schemes, there's internet schemes, there's a scheme for everything, right? There's always some kind of scheme going on somewhere, right? So here's the thing. Whenever you're talking about the difference between a bank check, a cashier's check, or writing a check, right? The reality of today's day and age, because it is so tech forward and it is so technologically advanced, is that wiring the money is always the best practice because it clears the escrow account faster. If it doesn't clear the escrow account and you do write a check, you do have the option of a cashier's check. So I don't want to tell you that it's not an option. It is absolutely an option. And if you're more comfortable with that, then do it. The trade-off is with a cashier's check or a personal check being written for the earnest money deposit, the title company has to wait until it clears to be able to start moving forward in the process. So a lot faster of a practice is the wire transfer. That's why it's so common and it's so recommended. The biggest thing to do, the easiest way to protect yourself is very simple. You pick up the phone, you call the title officer, and you ask them to verify the account and routing information. If the numbers match and everything is good, then you're good to go. Now, that wire fraud is a super scary and super serious thing, but let's be real. It doesn't happen that often, but because it has happened and because it can have such devastating consequences is why I'm always going on with the process of calling the title officer and making sure those numbers are accurate. That's why I bring it up, and that's why you hear about it so much, is because it has the possibility of devastating a person's finances. So, but the reality is it's a very, very low, and it's fairly uncommon whenever this happens. So it's a very low possibility. All the same, protect yourself. It's a simple phone call. That's it. So J Cao, let us know how you're going on with the closing process in 3 weeks. Let us know when you get your keys. Come back on. Check out the home ownership playlist. You'll love it. And that's the way I've designed this channel. It's everything from start to finish in the real estate life cycle, including going on further in real estate if you wanted to with investing. So the home ownership series is one that I will definitely be keeping in the future on this channel. So pay attention and let me know what ideas you would have or what you would like to see as a homeowner when the time comes. For now, enjoy your closing process and let me know if you have any questions. Okay, the Crypto Bling, thanks for your response. It's always a pleasure to hop onto your live stream. I will be contacting you soon. Crypto Bling, thank you so much. Look forward to chatting with you. That'll be awesome. Linda Vargas, hello from New Hampshire. Closing is on October 10th, but man, lenders do ask for last minute things. Linda, first of all, super happy, super stoked for you. Getting ready to close here in 7 days? So that's going to be super exciting for you. I know that you've been watching for a while now and commenting quite a bit. So I'm excited to hear that you and your family are going to be closing on your first home here next week. So good on you. Let us know when you get the keys. Maybe you do your own YouTube live video or something and put it out there. The wonderful time. Either way, make sure you're taking pictures of it. A lot of people don't think about taking pictures of whenever they close, of their closing day, when they're at the title office, and whenever they get to the home and the real estate agents get them keys. I promise you, in about 12 months, if it takes that long, to 2 years, if it really took that long, you're going to reflect back on this purchase and say, I wish I would have had photos of the day that we closed on our very first home and all the subsequent homes that you may have into the future. So take those pictures, because I promise you it's going to be something extremely meaningful to you in your life going forward, and it's something that you can share with your kids and your family and inspire them to become homeowners too. So about your second part, but man, lenders do ask for last minute things. Yeah, they kind of do with those underwriting conditions and stuff. It seems like it's last minute because it's like 1 week, 2 weeks from closing, and then all this stuff is coming up. Everything needs to be updated. They got to make sure everything's in compliance to be able to fund on the loan. So there's a lot of things that the lenders actually doing. So the best way to keep everything on course is to respond as quickly as possible, answer their questions as much as possible, and work with them through that. Yeah, I know that process is always the part in the closing process that a lot of buyers are like, man, again? Yeah, again. It really is like that. So make sure you make that happen. But Linda, very, very happy for you and your family getting ready to close on your home next week. Super Bree 31 was commenting on buying an old house, 7 ways to avoid a nightmare. Super Bree says, I really enjoyed this video. It's great to know about permits. Absolutely, Super Bree. So yeah, with that video, I was talking about the importance of checking permits and making sure that everything's on lockstep and make sure it's ready to go. Linda, yes. Yeah, absolutely, Linda. Love it. Love your energy. Love your enthusiasm. It's coming off the screen and jumping at me, actually. So it's really cool. Thank you. And by the way, in case you got to drop off and go on about your day, just want to let you know, thank you for being here, Linda, and really appreciate your energy and wishing you a wonderful day. You're very welcome, Linda. Okay, so Super Bree then commented on 7 must-dos before buying a home. She's asking, how soon should you get pre-approved before buying a home, and what is the max expiration date on the letter? So a couple of really good questions there, Super Bree, so thank you for bringing that up. Number one, I always recommend going through the pre-approval process anywhere from 3 months to 12 months in advance of actually purchasing the home. Yes, when you do a true pre-approval, yes, they're going to run your credit score, and yes, you're going to have a hard inquiry on your credit for that credit pool, and generally a credit pool might amount to like 2 or 3 points off of your current credit score. But here's the thing, and why I recommend this. Sometimes people get into the mindset that they're ready to buy a home, they want to buy a home, and they wait until maybe 1 month or 2 weeks before they get ready to buy a home, only to find out that they have things that they need to do and things that need to be addressed, and now they won't be ready to purchase a home for 6 months or 9 months. It's one of those cases that does happen quite a bit, and probably more often than people might think, with getting a loan pre-approval. So that's why I always recommend it. And look, if you do it 12 months in advance, is the same pre-approval going to be good a year from now? No, it's not. Is it going to be easy for the lender to update your information? Yes. What are they going to ask you for to update that pre-approval? They're going to ask you for your current tax returns for that tax period. They're going to ask you for updated bank statements and updated pay stubs from your company, and also want to re-verify your employment. It's that simple, and they can redo it. Depending on the lender, they may or may not need to do a second inquiry. It's going to be up to the lender whether they do a soft pull or if they go ahead and do a hard inquiry at that time. At the same time, if you were planning exactly 1 year to the day from right now into the future to purchase your home, would you be disappointed if you waited until month 11 to go through the pre-approval process, only to learn that maybe it's going to take you another 6 months before you're going to actually be able to get approved to buy? My guess is that's going to be devastating, and my guess is that hurts a lot of people. So, and the reason being is you got mortgage interest rates on the way up, you got home appreciation. Even though the market is in the process of stabilizing right now, you do have still home appreciation, and we will continue seeing home appreciation into the future, probably until around that 2023, 2024 timeframe. Whole different conversation altogether when we talk about the market correction. No, for reference, if you're wondering, is it going to explode and pop like 2008? No, that's highly unlikely. Go back and watch the beginning of this year's video on January 1 about housing markets 2018. If you watch that full video, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about for reference. All the same, I always recommend Super Breathe to go ahead and get that pre-approval letter done. Most of the time, max letters of expirations are somewhere between 45 and 60 days from the date of issuance from that lender. It's very simple to get it updated with a phone call from you or your trusted real estate advisor to the loan officer, and they'll go ahead and make it happen so long as there haven't been any significant changes to your income or your debt situation. Okay, so really great questions. Okay, the Crypto Bling, what would you recommend for someone looking to invest with a small budget? Would it be worth investing in the hassle? Well, yeah, how small a budget are we talking about? I had a little bit of science there, but yeah. So Crypto Bling, just let me know, what's the budget we're looking at. It really wouldn't matter whether you got a big budget or a small budget. If real estate investing is something that you want to get into, start small and grow. 150K. Okay, so thanks. So if you're talking about 150K, look, that's really good, or under. Okay, 150K or under, as long as what you're looking for in the real estate marketplace that you're in, hey, make it happen. Because at 150K or under, if you're able to earn more money on that from a real estate investment than you could by investing in bonds or the stock market or some other form of investment, then yes, it's going to be a worthwhile investment. So you may be wondering, hey, how do I know if it's a worthwhile investment? That's where it goes into the real estate investing series when I talk about capitalization rate and looking at cash flows and projecting those numbers based upon the pro forma data, but also accounting for things that pro forma data doesn't necessarily include. Now, I've talked about that pretty extensively in that playlist, which is every Saturday. Right now, I've been doing real estate investing. Can watch those videos and you'll know what I'm talking about, and I put additional links in there to assist you in helping you with these calculations. Of course, you mentioned earlier that you're going to hit me up, so when you hit me up we can talk about it a little bit more and figure it out. But generally what you want to look at is make sure that your return and your capitalization rate, your net capitalization rate, is going to be higher than other investments that you could get otherwise for the same 150,000 or under. So a lot going on there, but definitely get in the real. If that's something you want to do, definitely get into it and make sure the property exists and the return exists if that's what your goal is. Okay. Okay, so Yanhel Hearts Makeup, I believe that's the name, was watching 6 questions to ask when buying a new home construction. Says, very informative. Thank you. Really appreciate you watching that video. Glad that it helped you out. Cat 1994-1 was watching buying a new construction home with 20 tips to build upon. And Kat says, I would have to be able to check out the housing during the construction. I'm very picky on the type of drywall, type of insulation, and all the wood is, and making sure all the wood is sprayed with pink shield. It's not absolutely necessary, but it does make the house safer and cleaner. I would have to make sure that's what is being used before everything is sealed and finished. That's a great point. So Kat, look, if that's your conditions for buying a new construction, then probably a semi-custom builder or an all-out custom builder is going to be best for you. With these big builders across the nation, they have their standard practice. Maybe it fits into what you're looking for. Maybe they can assist and maybe they can accommodate. Maybe they can't, because they are so systematic in the way that they build homes. They're very unlikely to change, but you can ask your trusted real estate advisor to talk to them if that's what you're interested in, and ask them for any kind of special use permits or special permits they might be able to pull to change out the product going into that home. If they can't do it, and a semi-custom builder can't do it, semi-custom builder, for reference, like a William Lyons, a Pinnacle Homes, Toll Brothers Home, different regional builders that are extremely good in the area that might be a little bit more semi-custom, gearing towards the custom build, then that is something that you might want a full-on custom build if they're unable to do it. It's something to be real about and something to consider. Now, a lot of these builders do have different options and different packages available. Again, get up with your trusted real estate advisor, learn what those options are, and make sure those options are in keeping with what your comfort is in purchasing that new home. You should absolutely be able to get what home you want. You are paying for it. So make sure that you do some research there and see what's going to be best for you in the long run, okay? Okay, Patrick Pottenger was watching rent-to-own homes, pros and cons. Patrick says, I am going to review this video a few times because I believe there's a wealth of good information in it. Thanks, Andrew. I was a home buyer before, but during my divorce, we sold the home. How does it affect me if I decide to try this rent-to-own option? Well, it's really not going to affect you. Rent-to-own option, essentially, you're trying to work directly with the seller and purchasing that property on the premise that they're going to allow you to live in the home and that a portion of what you pay them every month is going to be going towards your down payment. If you watch that video in specific, and you by now hopefully you've watched it a few more times, pay specific note to the non-refundable deposit. I made that video because I do get asked about rent to own, and here in Las Vegas, there's very, very few homes that are actually rent to own, but I know that across the country, sometimes that's all the rage. So you need to be very, very careful. And number one, always make sure you have a real estate attorney review that contract with you and make sure that you understand what you're doing and agreeing to, and also any obligations that you have under that agreement. Generally, it would be better if you could just purchase a traditional property with a trusted real estate advisor to help you out. That would normally go a lot better for you. But that being said, it's an option to you. Just make sure you're making a well-informed decision, please. Okay, Sister Cakes was watching 7 must-dos before buying a home. Sista's Kate says, can you do a video about the differences of buying paid in full the house and financing? I want to buy a house. I have a structured settlement. No tax returns, no job history. Is it possible, and how can someone in your position, my position, assist someone like me, new home buyer from New York City? Well, first of all, the way I could help you is find a trusted real estate advisor familiar with helping people out in your situation. Is it possible to buy a house if you have a structured settlement? Yes, it's a source of income, and if you have the cash on hand to be able to purchase, even better. No questions asked, kind of gets done pretty easy that way. Or if you are going to need to get a loan, then you'll need to get up with a local loan officer in New York City to review that with and see how that's going to affect you. Obviously, they're going to want to know how much longer you're going to have on the structured settlement payments and how long that's going to last, and will the money be sufficient for you to be able to purchase that home and pay it off in the future, right? Your ability to repay is what's important there. So how can I help you? I can help you find a trusted real estate advisor in New York City to get you started. So just contact me directly with my contact information and show more description. Joseph Fair was watching 4 benefits of buying a home in the fall. Thought about getting a home in the fall, but our lease in our apartment ends in May. Thanks for the insight. So yeah, Joseph, really glad you watched that video. Glad that you took a lot out of it and it was able to help you. So here's the thing, Joseph. I work with people all the time that are first-time home buyers under rental contracts. I've actually made another video about how to break a rental contract when you get ready to buy a home. You may want to go back and watch that video and see if it's something that's realistic for you. Sometimes if you're able to, some landlords will just let you help them find a new tenant. And as long as there's a new tenant to assume the lease, they're okay with releasing you once that tenant's in hand. Others may want to pre-charge you for what's left on your actual lease agreement. And depending on where you are and depending on the market conditions, that may or may not be the best decision. It's just really up to you. I have seen some people make that shot and they were really happy to do it, but it all goes down to your financial capabilities and what's financially comfortable to you. Or, hey, just wait until about 2 months, 3 months before your lease agreement expires. So about next February, you should be getting really strong on your home search mode, getting your loan pre-approval. You can go ahead and do that now for reference to make sure there's nothing else that you need to work on. And then when the time comes here in about February, go ahead and find a home. And by March, with the idea that towards the end of February or March, you'd be going into contract, because you're not going to have your first mortgage payment for about a couple months, 45 to 60 days after you close. So since you're not going to have that first mortgage payment for 45 to 60 days after closing, then that means that you're kind of giving that point spread there so that you would have the ability to more easily and conveniently move into the new place without having to worry about getting out of the rental property so quickly. It gives you time to move into the new place, if that makes sense to you. It really depends on your circumstances, but either way, really good points. Just want to share some further insights in for you of what some of the things are that you could do. Annette Harrison have watched 5 ways to improve your credit score fast. Annette says all tips were great. Annette, thank you for watching. I'm glad that video helped you. Purse Junkie comments on 4 benefits of buying a house in the fall. And she says, great vid. Can I talk about pros and cons of borrowing money from a 401k for down payment, or anything about getting help from different down payment programs available? Also different types of mortgage loan and my recommendations. So Purse Junkie, thank you so much. There's a lot going in on that comment and I really appreciate it. So I'm going to be getting out with one of my loan officers later today. And whenever I chat with them, I'll talk to them about their thoughts about the pros and cons about borrowing from a 401k for down payment. I'll jot down some notes and then some insights based upon that conversation, and I'll do some more research and make a video about how to do that, at least with the pros and cons to help you make a well-informed decision. Best practice is to chat it over with a local loan officer and see how that's going to apply to you in reality, and if there's any repayment that's necessary to go back into the 401k, depending on how it's structured out for you. Now, what about anything about getting help from different down payment programs available? If you look on my channel, Andrew Finney Team on YouTube, I have different categories right now. And as I was chatting with earlier today in this live episode, I'm going to be breaking out those playlists even further. That being said, if you wanted to get up on some of the loans that are available and the different types of loans that are available, if you scroll down to where I have the loan section in the on my landing page on YouTube, you'll find a lot of different information about home loans there that might be able to prime your thought process as far as what's going on. Yes, it was a while ago that I made those videos with the loan officer, so I need to probably do some more. I have made several different videos this year about different loan programs that might be available for first-time home buyers, down payment assistance, home is possible type programs. Go back and review them. And then if you still have some questions or something that you'd like to see, just let me know. And different types of mortgage loans and my recommendation. Okay, so the different type of mortgage loans will really break down into like 4 general categories. You have a VA home loan that's available to active duty or veterans. Then you have a conventional home loan, which is what like most people think of when they think about a home loan. Then you have an FHA loan, which is a government insured loan, and you have a USDA loan that's a government insured loan. So what's the difference between like an FHA and a USDA? In short, USDA is available for the rural areas. So think like if you see a cow across the street, that's probably a good candidate for a USDA loan. Las Vegas proper here, where you got Las Vegas, Henderson, North Vegas, Summerlin, and the whole city, what's called Las Vegas Valley, what most people consider Las Vegas Valley, USDA is not going to apply. But yet, if you go out to the outskirts of the city and some of these smaller suburbs, some of these more rural areas, then there's different areas like that that could apply or be able to use a USDA home loan. There is a USDA map. If you go back and watch the USDA home loan video I did with Josh Kumar a couple of years ago, there is a link to the USDA map to make sure and check the eligibility for that, what property you're considering. So there's a lot of stuff that goes into that. As far as my recommendation of any mortgage loans, it really depends on your circumstance and your situation. I'm not really a big proponent of giving you my recommendation as far as what's right for you. Only you know what is right for you. What I am a proponent of doing is putting you in touch, or at least ways if you were here local and we were working together, putting you in touch with a great local loan officer that's going to take the information that you provide to them, being your income, assets, credit, and employment information. Once verified, then they can sit down with you, share what available programs are, and share with you the pros and cons of each so you can make a well-informed decision. That's really what it comes down to, Purse Junkie, is knowing your options, getting the straight scoop, and knowing what's going to be best for you in the long run. Only you at the end of the day, Purse Junkie, can make that decision. Only you know what's right for you and your financial situation. And you can make a well-informed decision when you have all your options, okay? All right, OLALawrence.com, O-L-A Lawrence, okay. So OLA was commenting on buying a house with bad credit, myth versus fact. Love it. Well, OLA, thank you so much for loving that video. Glad that it helped you out. Really glad that you made a comment there. Okay, Clarence Alexander commented on 4 benefits of buying a home in the fall. Okay, it looks like Clarence was probably responding to Joseph's comment on that same video where we were talking about the rent situation. So Clarence was giving him some insight into their situation as far as what they've done, and says, Joseph, we are in the same pickle. Our lease is up next summer, but we are paying our rent until our landlord can rent it. Not happy about paying 4 to 6 months of rent, but we found a place we love and we can afford, so we jumped at it. Andrew, here is something for you to think about or comment on. We are buying a house that was built in 1920. Okay. It still has what they call knob and tube wiring. Our realtor advised us to replace it, and that we had the home inspection and the same thing. We tried to get the sellers to pay for the wiring, but they would only put in $500. We found an electrician that will put in a 200 amp service wiring for about $3,850. So all was good. FHA came out and did the appraisal, and once the fuse box converted into circuit breakers, we are set to close on October 10th. So our realtor contacted the seller's realtor, and she tells us for us to get our guy over, and they'll give them $500 credit at the end of the day. What is bugging Clarence is we have to do other work, and I think they should give us some more money of an allowance for the wiring. My thoughts. Okay, So it sounds like you guys are trying to negotiate that. There's a lot going on there, Clarence. So number one, it would be ideal if the seller did it. Does the seller have to do it? No. Is it something that looks like it's going to be pursuant to the FHA guideline? Yes. And this is where it gets a little bit interesting. Is underneath FHA guidelines, there's things that have to be done pursuant to the loan program by virtue of accepting it, the same as a VA loan or USDA loan, essentially. And there's things that don't have to be done. So it's extremely important to know in your area and specific how that FHA loan works. Now, you should talk to your lender about that and see if there's any way that you can ump the ante maybe with the seller side that says, hey, you accepted an FHA loan. We're this far along in the process, and pursuant to the lending guidelines, this is something that you have to do to bring this home up to what's called health and safety conditions for your location for that type of property. Now, that being said, a seller could turn around and say, hey, I don't want to sell it anymore. And how would that affect you? So these are the realities of negotiations. It depends on what's more important to you. Is the difference of the $3,850 and the $500 credit you're getting more important to you than having the home? If it is, then maybe it's not the right home for you. If it's not, then it's one of the things that you might want to consider trying to work with your loan officer, work with your trusted real estate advisor, and see if you can get some additional seller credits. In my professional opinion, I would love to see the seller do it. At the same time, they're not, unless there's a lending guideline or there's some other condition or law that's applicable in your area that says they have to do it, then they may not necessarily have to do it. So it's really about how much you want the house. Is it the right house for you? And making sure that you're making a well-informed decision, understanding the trade-offs and the pros and cons of buying a home built in 1920 and the things that you'll need to do to it. So if it's the right house for you, only you can make that decision, but work with your trusted real estate advisor and your loan officer to see if there's anything else that you might be able to do, and as far as getting any other credits maybe from the seller, okay? It also would depend on the purchase price of the home when they're talking about $500. So just a side note there. So looks like we had Linda Vargas was saying, follow Andrew videos, good info and additions on property to do your due diligence always. Yes, Linda, thank you so much for bringing that up. And thank you for encouraging everyone to continue subscribing and sharing the video content and following the information in the videos. It will definitely benefit you at the end of the day. Yes, doing your own due diligence, extremely important. Working with your buyer agent or listing agent, whomever, whatever you're doing, due diligence is critically important. The more that you can get done up front before ever making an offer, the better. There is some stuff that you can't do until you're in the closing process, like home inspections. All the same, it's good to know. And if you follow the advice about how to find your ideal home and 10 ways to know you found the right home and those kind of videos, then you'll have a good frame of reference and a good frame of mind going and looking at property. Investigation on property you want to purchase. Okay, so that was a little last point there. Okay, so yes, and continue investigating the area that you want to purchase and do the due diligence. Thank you, Linda, for that. Janine Hoke, hi Andrew, have you gotten to a question posed by Janine Hoke? Yes, ma'am, I sure have. And thank you so much for tuning in today. I actually addressed your question earlier in today's live episode. I believe it was even the first question out of the gate today. So if you replay it back from the beginning, then you'll get your question answered. Some point over the next couple of days, I'll go back through and make sure that I do the timeline for this, and you'll see your name in the timeline once I get that done for today's live episode. So you can just hit the number and then go right to that spot in the video. Cool, will do. Thank you so much. Hey, Janie, you're very welcome. Thank you for watching, and thank you for your wonderful questions. I really appreciate you being here today. Okay, so Bick Van Lee was watching for benefits of buying a home in the fall. Bick Van Lee says, I really love your vids. They are very informative. Even our agent recommended us go through the process during the fall for all the reasons that I mentioned in that video. So really glad to hear it, Bick Van Lee, and glad to hear that you like the videos and that they're helping you out. Thank you so much for watching and for your comment. Okay. Beck Van Lee also commented on last week's Making Sense of Real Estate with Andrew Finney episode, and this one's a little bit longer, so let's get through it together. Andrew, thank you for your vids. I've learned a lot from you before we start the process. Not all agents are created equal. When we started our home buying process and the whole closing process, we were well aware what we needed to do on our ends. Unfortunately, the escrow company and the listing agent didn't do their jobs properly, and we went through our final walkthrough. It wasn't a final walkthrough, as we found out the seller still occupied the premises. I'd like to share with you, the seller has to be out by the end of the contract date, and normally they have until midnight that day, or at least ways until closing is officially recorded as of that date. They need to absolutely be out by recordation. Now, as a practice here in Las Vegas, when I work with people selling their homes, I always recommend they're out the day before, or earlier if at all possible, unless there's been a pre-negotiated lease back in the purchase offer that they have accepted. So it just depends. There's a lot of variables. Now, that being said, if they already had a place to go or had made arrangements so that they could go somewhere, it is generally best practice if a leaseback arrangement was not pre-negotiated in the purchase offer, for them to be out of that property 1 to 2 days in advance, for the same reason that you're bringing up here, for the purpose of doing your final walkthrough, to make sure the house is good to go, and now you can see it without any furnishings in the house. But I do want to be clear, a seller normally does not have to be out of a house until recordation has occurred, and ideally, it's ideal in an ideal world, an ideal closing process, the seller would be out 1 to 2 days in advance. So something to be real about there. We were told by our lender that once we sign the closing documents, escrow will do their recordation in the county within 24 to 48 hours, and it gives the seller a day to hand over the keys. That's true. I guess the listing agent didn't do his or her job advising the seller to prepare to vacate the house before final walkthrough. It made it hard for us as buyers, our agent, and our lender, as we might have to deal with some legal matters in the aftermath. Okay, so I'm sorry to hear about any kind of legal matters that y'all might have to deal with in the aftermath. As far as it being difficult to do the walkthrough, it does make a lot of sense. Again, why I professionally recommend that sellers here in Las Vegas and the families that I represent and on my channel are out of that property unless there was a pre-negotiation that took place for a different day of possession, or some mitigating circumstance that may have ensued. Again, so much is negotiable in a contract. It's all about what was agreed upon. So if the seller, it's still ideal and best practice, even if the seller didn't have to be out until recordation, it still is very, very ideal for the seller to be out before recordation on closing day. It is ideal for them to be out. That being said, once a property records, it's not like the seller gets 1 to 2 days after that. They need to be out before that property records, because the moment that property records, it's legally yours. So it's something for them to be very realistic about. If they want to pre-negotiate something with you, or if they wanted a lease back arrangement, or if they wanted to compensate you for allowing them to stay there for an extended amount of time, that's something that you need to take up with your buyer agent to address that with the listing agent and see how that's going to work out in your situation. But absolutely, it's something that could be negotiated there if necessary. Let's see, one of the most appropriate things that occurred was the listing agent sent out emails to their buyer agent, threatening the agent because she accused us of forcing the sellers to move. Okay, so that's a really interesting thing. If that's what happened, big family, that is far more than inappropriate. It's unjustified and it's highly unprofessional, and nor is it common that would happen. So that is absolutely lousy, and it's something that your buyer agent should be taking up with their broker, management, and possibly legal counsel, because that is inappropriate. First of all, you're not forcing a seller to move. If a seller wanted to sell their home, then they were willing to move to begin with. So that's why they sell their home. They have another goal. They have another ambition to move on to. Why list the house if you didn't want to sell it, right? So you didn't force them. That is something the seller decided to do. Then it sounds like they need to do some personal responsibility and soul searching there. As a buyer, we wanted to do our homework with our agent and local lender, all docs, appraisal, inspection, home insurance, all within 7 days. And apparently, no matter how well prepared you were as a buyer, a crappy listing agent can ruin a lot of motivation for us. Yes, completely understand that. So this is where it goes back to having the right agent. It sounds like your buyer agent was a really good one, and I'm glad to hear that that's working well for you. Unfortunately, we can't control the opposite party. So when you're talking about seeing who a property is listed with as a listing agent, as you go on to say as a final point here, it's really immaterial. A listing agent is a listing agent, right? A buyer agent is a buyer agent. That's why it's so critically important to ensure that you have your own representation. If you're working with a trusted real estate advisor, you have your own representation, whether you're selling a property or you're buying a property. It is incumbent upon your agent's skills and their abilities to keep everything as smooth as possible for you, keep you up to date every step of the way of what's going on, and be real with you. But it's our job as trusted real estate advisors to lay to rest any of this confusion and pacify any of this kind of resistance that is going on here. In that case of where there's that inappropriate threatening emails, unless that emails was sent to you, if it was sent to me, you would have never known about it, because I wouldn't have shared that with you, because it's immaterial to your experience in buying a property. It's something that I, as a trusted real estate advisor, would be accustomed to in dealing with different kinds of agents. You have really good agents, you have some that aren't so good. Again, going back to something we talked about earlier in today's episode, with 1.2 million real estate agents, like any other industry that has 1 million+ people in it, you have good ones and you have bad ones. So hopefully that doesn't jade your experience in real estate. Look at what your buyer agent's doing for you. Look at what your loan officer is doing for you and their experience that you had with them. I'm professionally sorry, and it is very upsetting to hear as a professional trusted real estate advisor that you had that experience at some point in that buying process. All the same, good ones, bad ones, goes back to the importance of making sure you find the right ones for you. Thank you for watching, and thank you for sharing, by the way, big family. I hope that works out for you, and I hope you get the keys to your new home soon and you're able to move in. Hot Rod Rolling Hills Trucking, watch 12 negotiation tips when buying a house. He says, at Andrew Finney, what are my thoughts on first-time homebuyer loans with no money down? So Hot Rod Rolling Hills Trucking, great question. And my thoughts are, it really depends on your circumstance and your situation. And it goes back to, no one can tell you what the right thing is or the wrong thing is for you but you. But by having all of your information, all the information available on how those programs work will help you make a well-informed decision. All of these no down payment loans have a trade-off, and that trade-off is generally a higher mortgage interest rate. Very few would not have some form of a trade-off. People don't give things for free. It's got to be recouped somewhere, right? This is business. It's contractual. Real estate, like anything else, is a business. Like if it's indicative of Hot Rod Rolling Hills Trucking, that Rolling Hills Trucking may be your business, you expect to be paid for rolling down the hills and trucking things along, right? So it is the same with loan officers, and so it is the same with real estate. So it is the same when you go fill up the truck with gas. It's the reality. So when you're talking about first-time homebuyer loan programs, there's a lot out there. Yes, there are low and no down payment loan options available. The most important thing to do is to get out with a great trusted real estate advisor, get a great recommendation to a local loan officer, give them the information they need to verify your income, assets, credit, and employment situation so you can make a well-informed decision based upon your circumstances so that you are comfortable and confident with the decision that you choose to make with which loan program you choose to move forward with. Now, despite some of the pros and cons of first-time home loan programs with a low down payment or no down payment option, if the market is looking like it's going to go up and it looks like interest rates are going up, then I consider an opportunity cost or time value money essentially equation that I would look at right there. If it looks like it's going to cost more in the future, in other words, in short, to make it simple, if it looks like it's going to cost more in the future than it does today, and it's within your comfort zone to do it today, then I normally would say, why not do it today? It's going to be the best thing for you based upon what you shared with me. Now, if it's best for you to wait a little bit longer, go ahead and do that. Just understand while there's trade-offs to those loan programs, there's also trade-offs for the waiting on the market. The real estate market continues to appreciate. Mortgage interest rates continue to go up. As it does that, it destroys or it hinders what's called your purchasing power index, your purchasing power parity, if you will. Not to get too geeky on you, but you know, if you read my show more description below, when I'm kind of got a background in accounting in addition to the Marine Corps, kind of geeky with this stuff, and I kind of watch these things and put this information into these videos to better help you and help you make a well-informed decision. At the end of the day, your call. Know your options, review your options, and make a well-informed decision based upon your circumstances. Okay, Honey-Coated Fool. Hey, Andrew, I enjoy watching your videos as a future first-time homebuyer. If a house has been on the market for more than 90 days, should you as a buyer be skeptical about the property? Not at all. That's a really good question, and I'm glad that you brought it up, because as the market continues to stabilize, Honey-Coated Fool, you're going to see longer days on market as a trending thing upward. Now, if a home's been on the market for 90 days and you're looking at those pictures, it's probably outdated. Or maybe the seller's being stubborn about the price. It doesn't necessarily indicate there's a problem with the property, in as much there might be a situation behind the property, and that situation may just simply be they're trying to sell the home. I've seen homes that go longer on the market, and to be completely real with you, in practice, I've seen it here recently, like literally the other day, like yesterday, that's serious. That you got a home that's starting to creep up on the days on market, and whenever I'm talking to people about that property, they're pointing out the neighbor's house as a detriment about why they don't want to buy the house because of what's going on with the neighbor. So sometimes it doesn't necessarily have anything to do with the price of the home or the condition of the property, and it has something to do with the community, the area, or the neighbors around them. So it's really it's a mixed bag of nuts when you start seeing a higher days on market. Now, what you could do is also talk to your trusted real estate advisor. One of the things that are important to understand is that if you see 90 days on market, and maybe the house was in contract before, right? Now you might want to go back and watch a video as a side note here about 6 reasons why pending home sales fall through. The number one reason is financials. Number one reason that a pending home sale falls through is because the buyer did something in the closing process, or the lender didn't do something correct, and they can't get approved for that mortgage amount, so it falls apart because they can't get financing. That's the number one reason. I'd like to be very clear and very real about that, because I know that when you're, especially as a first-time home buyer, or home buyers in general feel this way, when you see a home that goes on the market, it goes under contract, then it comes back on the market, the first thing people think is, what's wrong with the house? It must have been awful. The home inspection had to come back and something had to be really wrong with it. Or maybe the appraisal didn't come back and it was awful. Working with a trusted real estate advisor, you'll be able to get the answer to those questions by simply having them call the listing agent, look at the MLS property history on that to see what happened. And I'm willing to bet most of the times it's going to be a financing issue, not necessarily an inspection or appraisal issue. Then there are other reasons why home sales will fall through. Sometimes the sellers are really firm on their price, and maybe they shouldn't have their home on the market to begin with if they're not serious about selling it for a realistic sales price. That's another reason. So in general, about being skeptical, no, I wouldn't be skeptical, but I'd be smart, and be smart by doing your research on that property, Honey Coated Fool. And when you're ready to purchase your new home, then let me know. And if you're here locally, then we can meet up. Obviously, if you're not, then let me know and I can get you in touch with a trusted real estate advisor in your area so you can have these kind of conversations with them and be an extremely savvy first-time home buyer. Now, I am super happy that you enjoy watching the videos. I'm super happy that you're here. So I definitely want to give you a great big shout out and thank you from the bottom of my heart for being here. So thank you. Okay, Debbie Holt. Debbie Holt says, thank you for your videos. I would love some help finding a good agent. We have been very disappointed in the last one that they had. Help. She comments on 4 benefits of buying a home in the fall. Okay, so a few times in today's episode, I have mentioned that if you're looking for a trusted real estate advisor, then please contact me with my information in the show more description below. In general, what I prefer you to do is simply send me an email, need help finding an agent as a subject line, that would work. And then tell me about your situation in an email. It's easier for me to do that if you're calling me over the course of the day, then it's a little bit difficult because I get a lot of calls in the day and I want to get back to you as quickly as possible. I will always, as a matter of practice, listen to all my voice messages before I leave the office at the end of the day. And I go through all my emails before I leave the office at the end of the day as well, just to make sure I'm not missing anything. But best practice is if you send me an email, because I'm going to respond to you with an email, and I also need your phone number in there, and I'm going to ask you some questions, okay? So I don't want to go too much into it at this point since I've covered it a couple of times in today's episode and a few other videos, but just reach out to me directly via email, please, and I'm happy to help you find a trusted real estate advisor. Honey Coated Fool, thanks so much. I'll be in contact. Sounds great. Looking forward to chatting with you. Okay, so we have officially cracked the longest live episode today with 1 hour and coming up on 2 minutes. So it's been a lot of fun being here with you guys today. So I just wanted to share with you. Thank you for being here. Really appreciate you. And go ahead and share this channel around, share this video around. I'm going to get to work on getting back to my day over here. And in between now and next time, I'm wishing you and yours a lifetime full of love, wealth, abundance, and happiness. Thank you for watching and enjoy an amazing day.